Hello, David. How are you today?
I'm grand, just grand. I decided to see if I can get enough color to match the background that you're in, that
Yeah,
you
it's,
have.
it's, it's an arms race, and I don't think you can win it with a shirt, but no problem. Welcome, everybody. This is David Danto. I'm here with Dave Michaels. We're both from Talking Points. And today we are going to have a special guest join us. It's going to be Ari Rabban, who's the CEO of Phone.com. Why are we interviewing him today, Dave?
I've been talking a lot about this thing I call UCaaS Mobility 3. Now, I have to say, I think UCaaS Mobility 3 is the best name for it, but no one other than me uses that term. But I'm going to stick with it because it's a good term, and we'll explain what that is. But when I've been talking about it, I've been like saying it's going to be the future. All the big UCaaS providers are going to be all over this, and certainly Microsoft and Cisco have made their waves. But I said, if you're not a big player, you're not serious unless you're doing this. And so far, I've been wrong. But Ari
You know.
at phone.com, which is probably the best name in communications, at phone.com, he says, hey, I got UCaaS Mobility 3, but he didn't say that because only I say UCaaS Mobility. But anyway, he said, hey, I got UCaaS Mobility 3, and we're going to do it here at phone.com. So I said, Ari, where have you been? This is great. Let's get on a webcast and talk about it.
So let me talk. Let me give you a different story for 10 seconds to explain what it is you're talking about to people who might not understand. This is my new iPhone. I hate that I had to get a new iPhone, but my old one was dying. I had to get rid of the button. It's gone. And when I went to take the SIM out of my old iPhone and put it into this iPhone, there is no SIM. They've got a button here where you can take a picture. It's now using what's called an eSIM. And the fact that it has more than one eSIM means that it can connect to more than one service. That leads to this conversation of what is it? UCaaS
Well,
Mobility
that's part of it, Dave. You're touching on part of it because we're going to find out from Ari here in a minute, but we don't. He doesn't care if it's an eSIM or a physical. He doesn't even care about that. But we'll find out to make sure that's true. But what you're talking about is the consumer world, and when we talk about SIMs and stuff like that, in the UCaaS world, we're like, what are you talking about? And so there's like no connection. So without further ado, let's go find Ari. He's got to set us straight here. So, hey, look at that! There he is.
Hello.
Welcome, Ari.
Good to see you, Ari.
Hello, Dave and David.
It's you are. Let me be the very first to congratulate you on your UCaaS Mobility 3 implementation. I bet no one has said that to you.
No, thank you. And I got the name now. So UCaaS Mobility 3. Okay.
Well, you've got a great name, and I'm not talking about Ari. I'm talking about phone.com. So let's start off here with. Let me put that up here. Here we go. Phone.com. So how did you get that name?
How is credit to two individuals. I was working with Jeff Pulver, and by the way, I'm in Cape Cod now at a Jeff Pulver conference. Folks in the industry know the name. Folks who are not in the industry should know that he was one of the evangelists of the voice over IP industry, and he founded the VON conferences and all. And then working with him, I met the guys that bought the domain phone.com, led by an individual named Michael Mann, who wanted to build a business using that name. I had the idea for that business that we're in the industry. We call it UCaaS, Unified Communications as a Service, or business solutions in the cloud for small business. We partnered, and the rest is history. That's who we
All
are.
right. Well, that was early history, and current history is ProSIM, let me just see if I got it. Here we go. Look at that ProSIM. Look at that, huh? Pretty fancy. So, let me just take a moment here and explain this basic concept of UCaaS Mobility 3. The basic premise is that UCaaS and mobility have always gone together to some level. And so UCaaS Mobility 1 is version 1 was basically creative call forwarding. And we called it things like Find Me, Follow Me. We had things like Grand Central from Craig Walker that basically was a very fancy form of call forwarding. And it was a great solution for for inbound calls. It didn't work so good for outbound, but it was a pretty good solution. That was UCaaS Mobility 1.0. UCaaS Mobility 2.0 is what most people consider normal today, which is having an app on your smartphone that allows you to make and receive business calls on your personal cell device. It works pretty well. It was a big star during the pandemic. A lot of us worked at home, and whether we had a cell phone or a laptop, we were able to make and receive calls using our apps, and that worked out just fine. It doesn't work particularly well in a lot of situations, particularly people that are actually mobile, who are driving down the interstate, going between towers and things like that. Doesn't work really well. And so UCaaS Mobility 3 is the concept of putting the UCaaS service on the native SIM service, whether it be hard or soft, in a cell phone, and giving you a true quality class of service on your UCaaS line. So that is the basic concept of UCaaS Mobility 3. Put that up there. Look at that, UCaaS Mobility 3. So Cisco has it. They call it WebEx Go. Microsoft has it. They call it Microsoft Teams Phone Mobile. And let's see. Oh, and phone.com has it. Let's start off with a little bit of a background on phone.com. So you are not Cisco or Microsoft. How are you different?
We punch above our weight, probably because of our name. Phone.com is a service provider that focuses on the needs of small business. I would say even micro businesses, 1 to 10 employees. We do serve some larger accounts. We have businesses with over 100 or 200 employees. We scale, but our sweet spot and most of our customers, we have about 50,000 small businesses accounts, customers on our platform. Most of them find us online. They sign up touchless. We do have a 24/7 call center. We'll support you. We'll provide a lot of love and care. I think that's why a lot of small business like us. It's a full phone service in layman's term, a business phone service with, of course, all the bells and whistles of modern technology. And we want to keep ahead of the curve. And this is why we are here today with ProSIM and the new service.
So probably I'll be kind and not put you in a comfortable position. I probably got it wrong because I was all excited about UCaaS Mobility 3 in the enterprise space, but it's actually the smaller businesses that are really mobile. I mean, your customer profile, I imagine, has a lot, including business owners and almost every employee in some cases is living on their mobile phone. Is that accurate?
Yeah, and I think the first of all, in our industry, there's a huge distinction that I think isn't made a lot or enough between a small business America, the 20 plus million small business America that keeps America going, and the enterprise world, which is of course on business level probably more interesting to most of the large competitors, and just in general, you want to attract the big businesses. The mobility is, of course, not the same for folks who sit in front of a desk and have a laptop all the time. They have steady Wi-Fi or very strong broadband. They can use the laptop. We certainly all learned how to do that during the pandemic. So you don't have to be a techie anymore to use video conferencing or what have you. But again, there are millions who need mobility, who need what you said earlier, and can't rely on data for steady and important calls. And the phone is their main business tool.
So when you talk to you announced this weeks ago, I guess a week, I don't know, hours ago,
yeah.
Minutes ago. You announced ProSIM seconds ago. How do you describe it?
So it's a good question because there is some education here. Many folks, as you said, don't even know what an eSIM is or even a SIM. They know they had the card, the slot that they use the pin to open and replace when they change
I
phone.
can't believe David bought a phone without a SIM card slot. I mean, that's like basic. Yeah, everybody has to have a SIM
And I have a
card.
SIM card punch. It can go from full size to the next smaller one to the next smaller one.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been around for a while.
Right. So it's all in, once you put on the cover on the iPhone or the Android phone, you don't know what's underneath you. I was surprised to see folks, even that you think they're a little more tech savvy, not that techie, that didn't know that there is no slot anymore. But the findings that we had for a long time is that the apps that we all provide as an industry get complaints because they just cannot be as good as cellular service. Now, we also know that many times we don't have cell coverage. Can you hear me now? But it is of course.
Let me explain that. Your cell phone does not have what we in the internet world call net neutrality. The cell phone has different priorities of service, and they always prioritize their own services first. So the SIM service, the SIM core service, which is telephony and messaging, have a higher quality of service and will work in a bad congested area or between highway or handoffs much better than the internet connection, which is what they call a best effort service. So people that are running their mobile apps, their UCaaS apps on the best effort side, find out that they have a lot of dropped calls, particularly when they're moving around. And when that happens, and that this has happened to me, at some point you say, forget it, I'm just going to call you back on my cell number, or just call me back on my cell, because that's going to work better. We've all experienced that, and so we just give up on the other side. So you're putting the other side, the UCaaS concept, onto a SIM card, or not a SIM card in David's case. And so the question is, how many hours does this take to explain to the customer? And then inevitably they're going to say, yeah, but it works fine. I've had this conversation a few times. It works fine with my app. I don't need your service. And so I kind of have my experience, but I want to hear how you're doing with this.
Right. So first of all, besides the general curiosity and an innovative aspect of what we all do, and we want to offer new services, there's demand. We have, like I said, it's 50,000 businesses and multiple, although we don't have a lot of employees in each company, but there are multiple employees. They're using the apps and we get complaints. It's not working. There's a problem. But at the same time, FaceTime didn't work or WhatsApp didn't work. In other words, it's your data. It's not that the app is not working. I'm not saying we're perfect, but certainly data is an issue. So we knew that there has to be some solution. We were looking for opportunities to partner with companies that could help with eSIM and mobility technology, etc. And eventually we found the company that we thought fit like a glove. They're Tango Networks, and great folks from Dallas.
No, you don't say fit like a glove. Tango's a dance. You said a good dance partner is what you got to get your metaphors. You got to get your thing. Yeah, but
listen, I'm still English is a second language. So help me out here with the right metaphor. But
you're jumping ahead. You're talking about how you did it. I'm still talking about why you did it. So I've got here a banner going across the screen. Some UCaaS Mobility 3.0 benefits. Quality of service. That's the one I talked about. Native dialer. What did we talk about native dialer? Tell me that one.
So all the advantages here, right? First of all, the behavior of the customer, of a user. They don't want to go to an app to make a call. You want to just use your native dialer. This is how you make a call from your iPhone or your Android phone. So check mark. Now we have it. In all other UCaaS or business phone solutions, second line options, you don't have it. The second thing, which is extremely important, is the fact that we are part of the service. Is not a standalone second line that you can get from any second operator, MVNO or other. We are a business solution that has all the capabilities and the functionality of a business phone solution with recording, with extensions, with ability to monitor the calls, with, of course, compliance. So HIPAA is very important for the medical professions. There's SOC 2 and others for financial and other organizations, all such capabilities that if you just make a call on your mobile phone, you might not be able to do it, even if you're a micro business, right? Again, healthcare professional or financial, you just can't make a call like that. The functionalities that have to do with monitoring calls, it's all about business. You might not be a big business, but you have 3-4 employees. They're more important to you than employees of a big business. When they make calls on their cell phone, you don't have the leads. You don't have the contact to those folks. When they leave the company, it could be a plumbing business, and that plumber will get the calls as opposed to the business who the owner who did it. So there's all these functionalities, all the analytics that you can do, and although the customer is always right, that is true. They always know what they want and what they can pay for it. They don't always know what's available when it comes to.
That's right. The customer is not always right because they don't always know what their options are. And this is the one that I'm hung up on. And so I've got on here this thing right there, single carrier. What I keep on bang head here type of moments is when I describe this to people, and I say, why would you want to have? Why should your company or your IT manager or your whatever have 2 carriers? Why should you have one for cellular, and why should you have one for your UCaaS and your landlines? Or why not just have one? And the thing is, they don't think that's an option. Well, of course I can't do that. And it's like, and that's why I've got this desk phone to smartphone. You have one carrier, one numbering plan. You own and manage the numbers. That number needs to be in a desk phone. You move it to a desk phone. It needs to be in a soft phone. You put it to a soft phone. It needs to be on a cell phone. You put it on a cell phone. You move it around. You don't have to go negotiate with a cell phone carrier because you are the cell phone carrier, and you've got a great signal, and that's where Tango comes in. We'll get to that here in a moment. But to me, it's just so freaking common sense. But everyone is ingrained into the normal is I have a carrier for my mobile and I have a carrier for my enterprise, and I can't have one. And it's like, no, you can have one.
It goes back again for older folks, that the 2-line desk line, which everybody wanted to have simply 2 lines, and then the fact that you don't need a second device now. And you truly have 2 lines.
And I keep on meeting people that are carrying 2 phones around, and I say, "Why are you carrying 2 phones around?" And it's always the same thing. I don't want to mix. I don't want enterprise software on my phone. But you don't have to put enterprise software on these phones because it's in the SIM. Yeah. And so I have it on my phone, and when I make a call, it says, "Hey, you want to make an outbound call? Which SIM do you want to use?" And if I pick my the one SIM, it has that outbound phone number. It's on that service. I didn't pay for it. It didn't cost me anything out of my minutes or anything like that. And if I pick the other SIM, it goes out that number. And if the business is managing things and logging things, like, when you're talking to customers and stuff like that, they only see your work calls.
Exactly.
And so you still have your personal device without any company software. It's, to me, so freaking obvious. But I need people like you to explain this to customers. So,
let me ask that question. Let me be the devil's advocate then, because if I go back to my history when I worked for an enterprise, you had this one on my left waist and this one hanging on my right waist, and this is us and this is them, and they have the ability to wipe this device if I quit the company, but they don't have the ability to touch this device if I'm calling another company and getting an interview. How are you going to convince me as the user of this that if I combine these to a single phone, that the privacy is going to exist both for the company side and if I'm calling my family or an interview at another job or something like that? How do you keep them separate? How do you convince the user?
Want me to take that, or you want to do that, Ari?
Yeah, that's essentially the question is the answer, that with our service you can guarantee that to some extent. When you use one phone, you have your personal Gmail account and your work email. If by mistake you use your work email to send an email to a relative or a friend, The company has it, but we all know how to distinguish because you have this, call it Chinese wall. This is work, this is private, personal, and it's the same device. That's what's happening now. You do everything that you want on your personal life with line 1, and then you use line 2 for your business. The experience here is the experience of using a tool that is the most popular tool in the world, the iPhone or Android, right? You don't need to learn UCaaS. You don't need to learn how to, well, first download, successfully log in and use an application. You are using the iPhone. So if there is education here, it's to educate the audience of the capabilities of iPhone, not of any other enterprise solution. The U.S. market, in our case, I think Europe probably is a little more advanced, but we'll catch up. Dual SIM, 2-line phones. This is what's available. This is just going to increase. So
yeah. So to answer David's question a little more, the issue is the reason they want to be able to wipe the phone is because of all the enterprise data that is on the phone. Now, in an environment like Teams or WebEx, they can actually do that from the server. They can disable you from the server, disable your client, and they don't need to wipe the phone. They just need to basically tell the client not that it doesn't have access anymore. What Ari is doing is primarily voice oriented, and so there's no data on the phone other than call logs and stuff, and that's tied to the SIM. So his whole value prop is you don't have to install software on the phone. Just install the SIM, and then the corporate can turn that on and off. And the example that Ari said earlier about people leave, salesman leaves and goes to a competitor and takes his phone number with them, that won't happen anymore because they're using their work line with phone.ProSIM, and when they change jobs, the ProSIM number stays with the company. So there's no reason to wipe the phone. There's no reason to carry 2 phones. And it's cheaper for the enterprise and easier for the employee. So I want to get into. I know you want to get into Tango here. I got a question here, but I made these little slides, these banners here, so we have to use them.
Use them.
You are SMB focused, and we talked a little bit about how some of your competitors are more enterprise focused. People like Dave and I talk about this all the time. SMB play, enterprise play. From your perspective, what does that really mean?
So the joke I have is that the Morgan Stanley friend from New Jersey said, "Oh yeah, I'm also small business. I work with the clients that make less than $50 million a year."
Yeah.
For us, definition of small business is a little different than Goldman or Morgan Stanley, right? The company is small. Revenue is small. They're not tech savvy at all. They can't afford the IT expert, let alone an IT department. The decision maker is usually the owner, and they'll decide for them and for a few employees that they have. So the whole process, the sale process, is completely different than when you work with enterprise, where they do have either their IT department or consultants, and they have to get different folks to agree, and then they have to then enforce the employees, the staff to use it, it just gets more and more complicated. Then I'm sure there are other decisions that they have to go through based on compliance or whatever they would think they would need to address. On the other hand,
so a lot of the environment that David and I deal with, the customer has vendor meetings lined up all morning, and it's Amazon comes in, then Microsoft comes in, and then Salesforce comes in, etc. I mean, your customers don't have that. Your customers are like, look, I'm going to give you 20 minutes here, and then I got to go to the Verizon store and solve my problem. It's like, they're totally on their own, and you're coming in with this fairly sophisticated solution, which I imagine is. I want to hear how customers are reacting once you get past the explanation. You've got it. I assume you've sold somebody on this by now.
Yes.
So you got some customers. Tell us how that's going.
So we've been obviously testing it before we went live, which was last week. If you go to our website, and it's easy to find us, you'll see a lot of material explaining. There's a lot of FAQs, and there's videos and tutorials, and of course we'll just keep adding and improving. again, there is some education of what I said earlier, simply of the capabilities of your smartphone, that you can do that. And the second thing is just how do you install an eSIM? Again, it's not phone.com or enterprise software, it's your iPhone. There is a challenge, and I think probably the biggest challenge in the U.S. market is that many phones are still locked with the agreements of the carriers who fund the phones, etc. There are over 80 million phones that are not locked. It's increasing. Of course, in many cases, you can request the carrier to unlock, but you have to educate. You have to explain. So these are topics that we address, we share. Our staff is all trained to answer that, but it's all available, and I think that's part of why small business also likes us. We love them, we take care of them, even though they don't pay you enterprise monthly fees, right?
Now when a phone is locked, and so somebody bought their phone from Verizon and it's locked to Verizon. Does that usually mean that both SIM slots are locked to Verizon, or one?
So again, this is it depends. First of all, you can always ask the carrier to unlock it, and then you can use a different SIM. They want to make sure you stay with them, right? So there are different ways of doing it. Verizon, in many cases, after you purchase the phone, they will unlock it for you. T-Mobile and AT&T are a little different, but most cases you also pay monthly fees for the phone. At some point, you can pay it off, and it gets unlocked, and then you can certainly use somebody else's service.
Yeah, so I would say that the United States lags the world in mobile technologies. And this is one of the reasons why. The United States is pretty much the only country that allows this locking phone nonsense. And you look at certain countries, particularly Scandinavia, where everything is so much more innovation going on, or even Mobile World Congress, the biggest trade show in the industry, is not in the U.S. Right? It's in Barcelona every year, and it's just the U.S. is just so far behind in so many areas of mobility. And so that's frustrating with the locked phones. Okay, so let's get to how you did this. So tell us about your dance partner.
Yeah, so the dance partner I mentioned, and tango's a good dance, right? So we needed a company that's we come from the UCaaS space, the cloud communication industry, not the cellular mobile world. And certainly we don't deal with SIM cards directly and all. Tango does, and we partnered with them. They saw that vision, and they have been, a great partner. And so the SIMs that we use is technology that comes from them. Obviously, it's all software. There's no hardware to deal with. It's all automated through APIs. There's nothing to do. Our team, what's the word? You asked all the tough questions already, and I'm sure we'll find more. But we did all the experience. We were able to reach the point where the integration is seamless, and truly now you get a phone number. It's a phone.com number. You use the phone.com minutes. The whole service is part of the UCaaS experience. It's not just getting a SIM card from a store. Again, eSIM or physical SIM, in this case, doesn't matter. You get a SIM and then you stick it in your phone or download it and you have a second line. This is a second line that's part of an entire system behind it. And Tango are that gateway that allowed us to do that. We're not offering a cheap phone service and a second line. It is inexpensive, but the idea is that it's part of a business solution, not for a tourist who comes to the U.S. and wants
right. You're not selling SIM cards. You're selling
other countries. They work in other countries. I used it already in several countries. There's roaming. The price is the same, so it's also very convenient, and you keep the business persona.
Is it only voice services, or can you get data through that second channel?
So we don't offer it, because our whole idea is we're not for streaming Netflix or what have you. For that, you have your primary line. We're a secondary line. It is essentially the business service on your mobile with your cellular native experience. So there's no
Yeah.
need for us. You can send and receive SMS messages because
Yeah,
that's
it's a little
definitely
confusing,
possible.
David. I've got two SIMs in my phone. One SIM does all my data, and then both SIMs do voice depending on which line I want to use.
So if an enterprise wants to restrict the data the same way they're restricting the voice using this service, they're going to have to come up with some sort of sandbox app.
We don't deal with that.
But
Yeah,
that's not you, that's somebody else.
Yeah.
Our
So,
customers don't deal with it. They don't. There's no data. They're offering you the ability
Yeah.
to.
So like
make-
Verizon, for example, offers enterprise data plans that you can manage that from the Verizon perspective, but that's kind of separate from a UCaaS conversation. But yes, there's ways to restrict the data. But okay, so we're already at 30 minutes here. I thought when we first came up with this idea, this is going to be a 5-minute conversation. So we're already at 30, so we're going to wrap this up. But I'm going to hold you back. I'm going to put your feet back to the fire here because I don't think you really answered this one. And so,
Yes.
So I want to talk about. I'm not asking for customer names. I know that's not our business, but I'm asking for. Tell me about how customers have reacted to this. Tell me what kind of, once you've got, obviously you did trials before you announced it, then you announced it because you had good luck. What kind of experiences or what are you hearing from your customers about?
So we have a few hundred users already. I'll give you three examples. Obviously, all the companies are no names. They're small. There's not because of secrecy, because they won't mean anything. We will get some testimonials up and running, so they'll be there to see. But not every small business wants to immediately go and jump and give their name. But one company is a small. It's sales in the kind of food delivery, not wholesale and restaurants and a few employees. And the owner just said, they're using our app, they're using the service, but it's just not as friendly when they rely on it all the time. And he does want them to use his phone numbers and not their own, exactly for that reason of if they leave, he has
the number.
The delivery, the route, right? So that was very exciting him. It's four eSIMs, but you got it, and you can monitor everything. Now, all the other capabilities we had through the app. It's just the way it's done, right? So the monitoring. The other one is healthcare. So through a partner that does IT for senior living, and they had some nurses there and all. So they don't want to use. They can't use their cellular phone easy. And now it's like, give them a few SIMs, and it's small. It's not like on one of those big operations with hundreds of employees. And then now, it's HIPAA compliant, so they can use it, and then it's just going to be expanded now. Just use the second line instead of being afraid to talk to patients or to the kids of the elderly or what have you. And the third is just a frontline worker on the go, that blue collar that just says, now I can just have the calls, take the sales calls, just be more relaxed because of the reliability and the quality and all the other benefits I have. And then we are getting some new ones right now. The way we sell it is you have to be a phone.com customer, and then you get the ProSIM. But we do have it promoted on the website, so you can just sign up and get an account, and then it's kind of an upsell right now. Once you get the account, you get it. But that's it. We have it rolling already. So
all right. Well, I think we're gonna end this episode, but I just want to be sure that you are explaining to your customers and to your competitors when they're trying to figure out how to keep up with you, that you tell them it's UCaaS Mobility 3. That's the key here. So
UCM 3. I got it. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I know you got to get back to headquarters here. You're
Pecans now. In Cape Cod.
But it doesn't matter because you've got ProSIM, so you're connected. And thank you for explaining this to our audience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.